Well, I'm going to get the Trident inspected. It's been 1 year. Do I regret buying this bike? Let's talk about it. Alright, so I've done a lot of different kinds of riding on this motorcycle. I've commuted to work. I've taken short weekend trips around town. I've taken a long several-day trip out of town. I bought some luggage for it. Got a tank bag here. A couple other modifications that I'll show you in a little bit. I also have the 2015 Tiger 800 XRX that I've taken on some camping trips and things recently. Completely different kind of bikes. But I will tell you just the brief version of this. If I'm just riding around town, absolutely, I hop on this one every time. It's just so light and nimble and flickable and fun to ride. But how well does it do on the longer trips? So the long trip I did take this year, back in April, was to the MotoGP race down in Austin at the Circuit of the Americas. It's about 4 hours from where I live in the Fort Worth area. The tank is not huge, so obviously you can't do those long distances in one go. But I would say that on the longer trips like that, having the smaller tank is kind of a blessing because it forces you to get off the bike and stretch a little bit, grab something to drink, go to the restroom, that kind of stuff. I will say that makes this more tolerable on longer distances. It is a very comfortable riding position, and I do have a seat cover that has a gel pad sewn into it, so that has changed things a little bit, made it a little bit more comfortable. The riding position is slightly forward, so if you're not careful and you're putting a lot of weight on your arms and your hands, it could cause some numbing issues. But if you force yourself to use your core muscles and kind of support with the tank a little bit, then it's much more comfortable. So let's go through a list of pros here. I mentioned it is lightweight, it's flickable, it's comfortable to ride. I can gear up and hop on it pretty quick without having to worry about too much extra stuff. Which is really one of the main things I was looking for when I bought this naked bike. I did want to commute more to work and not feel encumbered by the bigger Tiger. I wanted something lighter weight that would be easily movable. And there's just something different about a lightweight motorcycle that's just super fun. Not just in the twisties, but around town too. Alright, I'm going to jump in here and get the inspection done. And we'll be right back. Alright, so there's a bit of a line for the inspection, so I figured I'd just do a quick little walk around of the bike and show you some of the things that I've done to it to kind of customize it a little bit, make it more my own. First thing I did was take off the rear view mirrors and put on these bar ends. I think it just really kind of compacts the look of the bike a little bit. I didn't like those big bug ear antenna things sticking off. The next thing I did was delete the passenger pegs, and I just put on these covers by Evotech. Those things, they popped out really far, and I did not like the look of them. In order to strap down the luggage, I picked up this passenger grab rail that I just used to strap. I don't ever take a passenger, but it's a great bar to strap the luggage to. And with that luggage, it's a SW Motec. I'll put a picture of it right here from my MotoGP trip. You can see how it attaches to the bike. But along with that, I also got this tank bag by SW Motec. I think it fits the layout of the bike really, really well. A couple of cosmetic things. I took the stickers off, the gray sticker here, and I painted these radiator guard covers black in addition to the Union Jack radiator cover that I added on. Then next I did some covers for the engine. There's two on this side, and on the left side there's this one large one here. Just kind of help protect things a little bit. Next I added some sliders to the rear and the front, just in case. Gives you a good peace of mind, you know. Bobbins for the track stand, or the rear stand, whatever you want to call it. I added a helmet lock that just attaches here to the passenger foot peg spot. I've got my battery tender plug. The seat cover is really nice by Sahara Seats. It does have some gel stitched into the cover. And then last but not least, I did the Shorty Evotech adjustable levers. Oh, and my quad lock. Don't want to forget about that. So I've done a lot to the bike to kind of customize it, make it mine. Some creature comforts, some aesthetic things, some functional things. And I think I pretty much have it the way that I want it. Oh yeah, forget about the Atlas lock. I don't use that a ton, but it is handy to have. It's a little loose. It is handy to have on those longer trips. The last thing that I really want to do, that I just can't justify the cost, is an exhaust system. Now the one that I want is made by Spark. It's all matte black with the little can on the end. I think it's going to look really nice, kind of help black out the rest of this, and then maybe I'll either get new rear sets or paint the rear sets to get rid of the silver. I do like the blacked out look with the white Triumph symbol on the tank. I think that's going to look really nice. So all in all, like I said, I'm really pleased with the mods that I've done. Like I said, some functional things, some aesthetic things, nothing really performance mod based. Maybe with the exhaust I might tune it. Who knows? I've heard it really opens up the motor. Let me know what you think about the mods I've done. What would you have done differently? If you have this bike, what kind of things have you done to yours? I'd be interested to know. What's your favorite mod? I'd say for me, my favorite mod, God, that'd be hard. The seat's really nice. I really like the bar end mirrors, and I really like the Shorty levers. So that would be a really hard thing to decide between the three. I think functionally, the levers are probably the best thing. Aesthetically, I would go with the bar and rear view mirrors, but that's just me. By the way, one of the pros I mentioned in this motorcycle was how light it was. I'm on a pretty significant incline in neutral, and I can keep the bike from rolling down this hill. I could definitely not do that on the Tiger. When I did my camping trip a couple weeks ago, I had a couple of these inclines that I had to deal with. Now, naturally, I had a lot of gear on the bike with me as well, but it did make it difficult to maneuver at slow speeds, and any stoplights or stop signs that was on incline, I was not able to support the weight of the bike with my feet. Mainly because I can't flat foot either one of these motorcycles. I have a 29-inch inseam, so seat heights are a consideration for me. I could get both platforms down, but I cannot flat foot. Small adjustment, I could flat foot one side, but it's hard to control a motorcycle on a hill without the brakes when you're doing that. Alright, so let's talk about the cons. I think I covered pros. Now, I think it would be kind of hard for me to have a big list of cons on this motorcycle because I've really enjoyed every minute that I've been on it. I would say some of the cons would just be by design of the motorcycle. For instance, the 660 motor is not big by any means. I think it's tuned pretty well for its size. I have not noticed a big difference, and this might just be because of the weight difference too, but the 800 triple on my Tiger versus the 660 triple on this thing, they pull about the same. Now, the Tiger's bigger, heavier, so I could see that, you know, that would contribute to that, obviously, especially when I have it loaded down with all my camping equipment or other things. After Trident came out with this 660 platform, of course, they've been doing a ton of different models with the motor. There's a whole slew of Tigers. There's the Daytona 660. The new Tiger 800 that they've just announced, I believe, if I remember correctly, and I read correctly, that they took the 660 motor from this line and increased it to 800. I was a little confused by that. I haven't done a whole bunch of research on it yet, but I was confused as to why they would do that when they already have an 800 and 900 platform. Maybe just how it's constructed is a little bit different. Maybe there's some other updates to it, etc. With that being said, if they were to take that 800 platform that's based off of the 660 and dropped it into a Trident and came out with the Trident 800, I could see that as being a really legitimate platform and a solid step up from this 660 for anybody that bought one of these bikes. Now, I'm not a beginner rider by any means, but I really enjoyed the flickability and the riding position and the aesthetics and the look of this motorcycle, which is why I bought it. The 660 motor has not been a huge detriment to my enjoyability of the bike, but it is noticeable versus other newer offerings. Now, would I call this a beginner motorcycle to begin with? That, I think it would depend on the rider. Let's ask Jhing what he thinks. Alright, so this is actually a different day that I've recorded before. Had some technical issues last time, so we're going to try this again. I've got Jhing with me, and you know, we've had these Tridents for about a year. I bought mine in October. Jhing, yours was what, December?
Yep, end of December.
Yeah. So I've kind of given my thoughts already. So after a year living with the bike, what do you think?
I think I could not have gotten a more perfect first bike as a mature new rider.
So, you know, not a 16-year-old guy?
Right. And I mean, even if you're a little bit younger, like if, I don't know, like if I had a kid and I knew he was responsible, yeah. Like it's the throttle on this thing. The throttle is so forgiving. When you're in those low RPMs or, you know, that low throttle range, and maybe like, I don't know, you do something weird and you twist the throttle a little bit too much or too fast.
Right.
So, you know, as a new rider, I think that's a bonus. You know, maybe as a more seasoned rider, that can get a little frustrating, because it's not like the most peppy throttle response. But I know that has saved me on maybe a handful of times from just feeling more uncomfortable. Not to say I would have taken me down or anything, but
did you spend any part of the first time riding in rain mode to kind of cut the power back, or do you just go straight into street?
So, you know, I got the bike at the end of December. It was starting to get into the wet, you know, part of winter for us.
Right.
And there were a few days where I felt I needed to turn the rain mode on because the roads were wet or it was actively drizzling and it's so cold. But now after I've done used the rain mode for a few times, like I can just control that with my throttle, you know?
Right.
I don't think I necessarily, like, if I forget to turn it on, I'm not going to freak out and like pull over and turn it on. But as you know, maybe somebody who's not as coordinated, or they have a little more anxiety about riding in the rain, that can help you feel a little better. So all it does is just deaden that throttle response even more.
Did you notice the thing where they talk about there's a delay in the throttle when you first hit it, nothing happens?
Yes. all the time because I'm getting a lot more comfortable on my bike. So I will at stop signs and stuff, I'll try to launch, and if it's not the traction control kicking in, yeah, I do feel a little lag in the throttle. And sometimes it catches you off guard because, like, you're locked in and ready for the bike to take off, you know, and then nothing happens, so you kind of loosen up, and then it opens up on you.
Right.
But yeah, so like as a new rider, there's a lot of things about the bike that just make it great for me. I am 218 pounds. The bike weighs about 405 pounds, I think. So, you know, I work out a lot. There's been times where I have saved the bike from putting my leg down.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the middle of a U-turn or turning right or something, and for whatever reason, I decided to grab the front brake, and I grabbed it a little too hard, and I've had to throw my right leg out and, you know, stop the bike from tipping over.
Yeah, and it's slight enough to where you can do that. You get something heavy as soon as it starts to go, you know.
Yeah. And then it's so light. I mean, you can flick it around so easy. It's just so easy to have fun with.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you can get comfortable with leaning, you know, and you're not leaning a 700-pound adventure bike, you know, around the corner.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you?
Yeah, well, I didn't really get to lean it when I dropped it.
So yeah, there are a lot of people that are saying that this bike's not good for beginners because it does have so much power. But I think it's kind of on that middle ground to where, you know, if you're smart with it, it'll be fine.
Right. You have to be mature because, I mean, the top speed is up around 120 miles an hour, I think, over that maybe. If you tuck up real nice. Yeah.
You got a good tailwind.
But it'll get up to 120 like nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I think I was, you know, down in Mexico, I think I got it up to about 114, 115. And it takes no time at all.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, if you're being stupid, you can hurt yourself on any motorcycle.
And at any speed.
Yeah, so.
Doesn't have to be high speed, yeah. I just, like, the price point, the power, like, if you're a mature rider and you're not trying to be a squid or all you're chasing is, you know, highway speed, this bike will probably live with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, there's some sentimental value in trying to hold on to your first vehicle. Like, I wish I could have my 95 Ford F-150 again.
Even though they're a dime a dozen, it's not yours.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't see why I would ever get rid of this bike. I live in the city. I live in a downtown area, so, and it's just me.
Right.
I'll hop on my bike to go to the grocery store. I'll hop on my bike to go to the gym. I'll hop on my bike to go hang out with friends. So it's saving me miles on my car. It's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, one of the reasons I wanted to get this, in addition to my Tigers, because of the, you know, the small form factor of it, the lightweightedness, especially as a commuter bike. So, you know, me living a little bit further out of town, I got to go a little further to get to town, but you're right there, and it's, I'm sure it's a lot easier to just swing a leg over the bike and go.
Yep. Just put a helmet on, maybe throw my jacket on. I'm doing like 2-mile rides at most, like to the grocery store, or 2 miles to the gym. Sometimes it's just, I don't have a place to keep all that stuff, or it just, it takes away. I know the saying, all the gear all the time, but
check that
sometimes it's nice to feel the wind on your skin.
That's a cool house.
Place.
I think we have gone down this road before.
I've definitely been down this part.
Yeah.
The first leg, I haven't been on.
So what about any cons? Anything you wish you could change or...
Cons for me, we had talked about this a little bit, you know, just in our personal time. It's just on the longer rides, there's some things I wish were different. My knees start to hurt on the longer rides.
Yeah.
And I think that's just from, it could be maybe I need a little bit taller of a seat to straighten my legs out. You know, so there's not so much pressure on my knees. And then just, I don't know, my hands get a little tired.
Yeah.
There's no windshield. I know, you know, these are all things you can change. But you know, I don't think this bike was made for necessarily the long distance rides.
Right.
The way it came. I mean, it has a 3-gallon tank, you know.
Yeah, and you know, that was one of the things that I talked about as a pro, is that the tank is smaller, so it forces you on those longer trips to get off the bike and stretch, grab a drink of water, you know. So
and I've been on one long trip with you down to Bastrop, and then I went down to Katy. Man, that was a ride. Just doing it by myself.
Yeah.
5 hours.
Yep.
Just a straight back road. Yeah, I don't know. Any other cons? You know, I have read that people do complain about the suspension.
Right.
And I don't, you know, like that Suzuki I was on, which was you know, it's a different bike. It was an adventure tour or whatever. Like, definitely had better shocks on it, but it probably cost twice as much, you know.
Right.
I got this bike for a little over $8,000.
Yeah. How many miles you put on it now?
I think I have like 6,000.
Okay. Yeah, you've gone a lot further than I have.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Yeah, 62. So I've put at least like 57 of those on. This was the demo bike from the shop.
Yeah.
I can't think of it. Cruise control. But again, that's more for a longer ride type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, all the cons that I have for the bike are trying to make the bike something that it's not.
Right.
You know, this is an old bike that they remade, right? The Trident. So.
Yeah, definitely going for that retro roadster.
Yeah, there's not supposed to be much to it. You're just supposed to be out riding.
That was the big draw for me on this. Just, I really like the styling of it, and you know, the power is fine. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, if they come out with a Trident 800, it's going to be really hard to keep me away from that bike.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, the sentimental value for me. Yeah. I would just hang on to this.
Well, it's like I don't ever see myself getting rid of the Tiger for the same reason.
Right. Stretch it out a little bit. It's the best thing about this bike. Just gets up and goes in any gear.
Oh yeah.
I think I've almost rolled out in 4th gear before from a stop sign on accident. I will say a true con of the bike, and again, this could be taken away from the spirit of the Trident name. I don't know. I can't picture what the bike looked like when it was, you know, in original production.
Looked a lot like the Bonneville.
But the back seat for your backpack, for your second rider, it's not big. Well, if you got any type of second rider that's not like a petite build, they're going to be squeezing you into the tank pretty hard.
Yeah. So I think you pretty much answered this next question already. Are you glad you bought it? Would you buy it again?
Oh yeah. Well, you know, I went in there with you to get the bike, and I don't know. I was like, man, I really want one. And then
I will say I was not completely shocked when you told me that you got one.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm single, or, you know, not committed to anything, and have a decent job, and
Got some play money?
Yeah, well, and I've been talking with people about this just in general. Like, I'm 35 now and get to a point where I don't have too much youth left. I don't have, won't be able to use my body the way I can right now in less than 2 decades, easily a decade. So always wanted one, not like something I obsessed about, but I remember I'm into motorsports, I'm into cars, I'm into anything with a motor. I want to get my pilot's license, so.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Yeah, great bike. I don't, and I spent a while looking around at, a good first bike that would have decent power, had ABS, something I could ride for a while. I didn't want to a lot of the smaller CC bikes, they don't have ABS. You can barely get on the highway with them. And being in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, like, if you want to get around, you got to hit some highway.
Yeah, or be very intentional with your route planning.
Yeah, right. Or plan an extra hour to any trip. But yeah, this is more than enough for the highway. I don't ever feel like I'm stuck anywhere. Like if I needed to drop a gear or drop the throttle and get out the way of something, I could. And then again, just very forgiving in certain situations. Mostly just how light it is.
All right, so what's bike number 2 going to be?
Oh man, I want everything. I don't know, man. It'll probably be between. I don't know if I'm going to track this or not.
You could.
But it's either, something for the specific for the track or like an adventure tour like the Tiger.
All right, well there you have it. 2 big thumbs up from me and Jhing on the Trident for 1 year. So as an experienced rider, I would definitely recommend it. Oh, that was a big one. That'll wake you up. As I was saying, as an experienced rider, I would definitely recommend it. And as a newbie rider, sounds like Jhing gives it 2 massive thumbs up as well. So.
Oh yeah, great bike. Get one.
Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. Keep the shiny side up.